I hit the jackpot, landing a contract to be the fake husband of CEO Sophia Prescott. The plan was simple. Play the part until her one that got away came back from Europe. Then, I'd walk away with a massive payout and star my real life. Except on the day he was supposed to return, Sophia was at home, calmly lighting candles on a birthday cake for me. Leo Sterling? I don't know him, she'd said when I asked, a casual comment that made my world tilt on its axis. Honey, I'm sorry, I lied to you. I've had a crush on you for a long time. Please don't divorce me, okay? Realizing what she'd just said, her cheeks flushed a deep crimson under my gaze as she launched into a heartfelt confession. Yeah, the story had definitely gone off script. Sophia and I went to the same university, but a guy from the foster care system and the heiress to a corporate empire might as well have been from different planets. Our orbits should never have crossed. But one night, lugging a bag of takeout for my roommates, I stumbled upon a couple of townies harassing two girls near the edge of campus. I'd had a beer or two, I was young and full of dumb courage, and the next thing I knew, my blood was up and I was jumping in. 20 years of knowing how to handle myself in a scrap meant I made short work of the drunks. After sending them packing, I walked the girls back toward their dorms, feeling pretty good about myself. I figured I'd at least made a decent impression. That's when I realized one of them was Sophia Prescott, the undisputed queen of campus, and the other was her best friend, Chloe Vance. Sophia was the only daughter of the CEO of Prescott Enterprises. Chloe's family was a step down, but the Vances were still major players. They weren't in the same universe as a guy like me. I was an orphan, raised by the system. My old foster dad, a man hardened by a tough life, always told me guys like me shouldn't chase rich, beautiful girls. It never ends well. So, I made a point to keep my distance from the campus royalty. No contact was the best policy. Ryan, can I get your number? Sophia asked. If you ever need anything, just let me know. I'd be happy to help. Thanks, but it was nothing, I said with a tight smile, dropping them at their dorm and turning to leave before they could say another word. As I walked away, I heard Chloe whisper to Sophia. Will my makeup a mess or something? No, you look stunning. Then what's his deal? I think, Sophia said thoughtfully, he might just be completely clueless. I had no idea they were dissecting my personality behind my back. All I knew was that I'd narrowly avoided 2 walking complications. When I got back to my dorm, I realized the takeout I'd bought for my roommates was now smeared all over some townie jacket. I had to go out and buy it all over again, listening to their groans of gratitude the whole time. See? Women like that were trouble. A week later, at the championship basketball game, Sophia and Chloe showed up in the front row, holding a ridiculously oversized sign with my name on it. When I glanced over, they waved like crazy. Please, I was the campus heartthrob. I had girls cheering for me all the time. Why would I pay them any special attention? I shut them out and focused on the game. With my knack for controlling the court, I waited until the last 3 seconds, then drove to the hoop for a game-winning dunk that sent the crowd into a frenzy. I casually lifted the hem of my jersey to wipe the sweat from my face, giving them a clear shot of my 8-pack. A little fan service never hurt. A few girls rushed over with water bottles. My eyes scanned the group, and seeing a few I recognized, I quickly snatched a bottle from a teammate's hand and chugged it down. Sophia and Chloe, who had been holding out their own bottles, had no choice but to awkwardly pull them back. Before they could speak, I was already jogging toward the locker room. At the Freshman Talent Showcase, I was my class's representative. I got on stage with my acoustic guitar and sang a clear, high tenor, then followed it up with a piano solo. With my hair perfectly styled and wearing my best white button-down, I solidified my title as campus heartthrob. Backstage, a flock of girls asked for my number. I just turned my pockets inside out. Sorry, I said with a shrug. I don't have a phone. Standing off to the side, holding her own iPhone, Sophia quietly slipped it back in her pocket and watched me walk away. A few weeks later, Sophia stumbled into the boba shop where I worked a part-time job. After that, she started coming in every single day. One evening, looking like she'd made a momentous decision, she walked nervously up to the counter. Ryan, could you maybe bring me my boba when you get off work? You could just drop it at my dorm. Sorry, no can do. I hit the gym after my shift. No time. My refusal was blunt. My time was valuable. I was up early studying finance and operations, and at night, after an hour at the gym, I was teaching myself coding and digital media production. Plus, I was trying to brush up on my Spanish. My schedule was packed. I didn't have time for boba delivery services. When I mentioned the gym, her eyes instinctively flickered down to my chest and stomach. She swallowed. I can pay extra. How much extra? My eyes lit up, locking onto hers. A girl from a family like that. The extra had to be good. If it was enough, I could quit this gig. $1,000 a month? She asked, testing the waters. Deal, I said without hesitation. Okay, great. Let me get your number so I can Venmo you. This time, I didn't hesitate to pull out my phone. She did some quick math for her and her roommate's daily order and sent me $800. I was stunned. I thought her offer included the cost of the drinks. But then I realized she wanted 4 drinks a day, which at $15 a pop came to over $1,800 a month. My cut was a cool grand. You got it, I promised. I'll be at your dorm at 9 o'clock sharp every night. When my shift ended, Sophia insisted it was too dangerous to walk home alone and waited for me. I glanced at the 2 burly guys in black suits try to look inconspicuous near a black SUV across the street, clearly her bodyguards, and shot her a dry look. But hey, if the boss wanted to play pretend, who was I to argue? When my shift ended, I walked with Sophia carrying a tray of 4 boba teas, while a pair of professional bodyguards trailed us from a distance. And so, my new routine began. Every night at 9, I was at the women's dorm, waiting for Sophia to come down and get her boba. 2 days later, she added breakfast delivery to my duties. The pay was good, so I agreed. A week after that, she said too many guys were bothering her on campus and asked me to have lunch with her. A free meal? I was in. Soon, I was delivering her breakfast, eating lunch with her, and bringing her boba at night. Then came the occasional request for flowers for gifts. Rumors started flying around campus that the campus heartthrob and the campus queen were an item. I just scoffed. I was just a delivery guy. Were people that blind? Sophia, I'm impressed. How did you manage to land the most emotionally unavailable guy on campus? Spill, what's your secret? Sophia, who had deployed the power of the purse, blushed a little at Chloe's question. Remembering her best friend also had a crush on me, she just shook her head mysteriously, a silent signal that her methods were top secret. Sophia's request got weirder. She even started paying me to go shopping with her and her roommates, when my only job was to trail behind and carry their bags. A few hours of that could net me a couple $1,000, but something felt off. Her friends were constantly teasing us, and Sophia wouldn't let me set the record straight. I just have to smile and play shy. I quit my other part-time jobs. Just running errands for Sophia was enough to cover my living expenses with plenty left over to save. I even had more time to focus on my studies. My routine was ironclad. Up at 5:30 for a run, deliver breakfast to Sophia, attend my morning classes, then freeload off her for lunch. I'd even use her family's private studio on campus to study business management in the afternoon. Sometimes she'd invite me for dinner. I never turned down a free meal, but I always rejected her suggestions for a walk afterward. No way. What if she found out I negotiated a half-price deal on her boba with the shop owner? Sophia was a strange combination of clueless and loaded. Whenever she had me buy her a gift, she'd generously buy me one in return. That's how we ended up with so much matching stuff. The same watch, same jackets, same backpacks, even the same keychain hanging from our bags. The rumors intensified. It wasn't just classmates. Even my roommates started ribbing me about it. But professional ethics kept me quiet, and my silence made it all seem more real. Everyone believed we were a couple because, honestly, we acted like one. But inside, my heart was a fortress of stone. People from different worlds don't end up together. Besides, she was just my employer. We were strictly business. Money. That was my only goal. I poured my energy into my thesis, a detailed paper on an AI concept I'd been developing. It even won me a scholarship. My daily routine with Sophia continued. My actions screamed that I was pursuing her, but we made zero actual progress. But things were about to change. Graduation was looming. Our lives were set to diverge completely. We'd hardly see each other again. Soph, we're about to graduate, Chloe said one day. Don't you think it's time you and Ryan had a real, official moment? Like an Instagram post or something. Chloe had always been a little suspicious of Sophia's claim that we were already in a relationship. She wanted to ask me out herself, but Sophia had conveniently announced we were together right at that moment. And while I was always with Sophia, a keen observer could see there were no real sparks, just a polite distance of friends. Sophia's eyes darted away. She stammered for a moment under Chloe's skeptical gaze before finally nodding. I'll talk to Ryan tomorrow. Get ready for some serious PDA. Extremely concerned with keeping up appearances, Sophia started plotting how to get me to go along with this charade. My fierce resistance to any form of physical intimacy had made her question her own appeal, though my occasional stolen glances at her long legs convinced her I was just messed up. If he likes me, why is he so controlled? It was like I had drawn a hard line I would never cross, and it drove her crazy. Was money the only way to move this guy? Well, she didn't have much else, but she did have money. Finally, Sophia made a wild decision. If they were going to put on a show, they were going all in. This would shut Chloe up for good. She thought about my looks, my physique, my grades, my drive, my talent for both business and tech, combined with my clean slate and no family baggage, made me the kind of guy powerful families fought over to secure their legacy. It wasn't like all their kids were geniuses. Most were idiots. Marrying off a daughter to an elite talent to help run the family business was a smart move, provided there was a contract. When Sophia, blushing furiously, slid a contract across the table at a coffee shop, I scanned it quickly. A single thought bloomed in my mind. The universe had finally smiled on me. 3 years, $10 million. All I had to do was enter into a contract marriage with Sophia Prescott, and I'd even get a job at Prescott Enterprises. This was a winning lottery ticket falling from the sky. I signed it so fast I was afraid she'd change her mind. Seeing my urgency, how I kept glancing up at her nervously, a strange thought took root in Sophia's mind. Could it be that Ryan actually likes me? Maybe he just doesn't show it. Why else would he sign so quickly? Sophia, I said, leaning forward, I'm free whenever. So, what should we head to City Hall? My eagerness only cemented her theory. The contract stipulated we had to act like a couple in public. Since I'd signed, the deal was active. So, when I saw Chloe walk into the coffee shop, I smoothly reached over and took Sophia's hand. Huh? City Hall? How about? Right now. Sophia was clearly not used to this. Just holding hands made her blush. I pulled her to her feet, right as Chloe reached our table. A fresh wave of red washed over Sophia's face. Chloe just stood there, stunned. They were really getting married? This fast? Hey, we've got an appointment, so we gotta run. See ya, I said, giving Chloe a quick wave as I pulled a dazed Sophia out of the coffee shop. Getting the license was simple. A quick trip to City Hall with our IDs, the flash of a camera, and our faces were side by side on a freshly printed marriage certificate. A stamp made it official. We were husband and wife. We updated our Instagrams simultaneously, a picture of our clasped hands and the certificate. The entire campus exploded. A graduation day wedding was the kind of fairy tale every college student dreamed of, but almost no one actually achieved. The campus heartthrob and the campus queen had gotten their happy ending, and we were the envy of everyone. At graduation, we were photographed in a tight embrace, our picture flooding the social media feeds of all our friends. Meeting her parents was the logical next step. That night, I moved my things into Sophia's sprawling villa. I had 3 years to enjoy the life of the rich and famous, and wasting a single second would be an insult to this mansion. Out of respect for my employer, I moved into the guest room and drafted a detailed plan for my services to Sophia. The next morning, when she emerged from her bedroom, hair tousled from sleep, she found me in an apron, a full breakfast spread laid out on the table. She happily tried everything, offered a few suggestions, and I jotted them all down to perfect for the next day. While working hard, I started paying close attention to Sophia's preferences. When we both started at Prescott Enterprises, I quickly adapted. I did my job and also helped her learn the ropes of managing the company. I was just an intern. She was fast-tracked to assistant director of her department. Every evening after work, I'd cook dinner and help her review her day. More than once, Sophia told me I didn't have to work so hard, but I always brushed her off. This was priceless work experience. When the contract was up, I'd have a stellar resume. I could get a job at any top firm or even start my own company. Control your own destiny. That was my motto. As Sophia and I grew closer, I started hearing whispers. She had a childhood sweetheart, Leo Sterling, who had gone to study abroad after high school. He was in grad school now and due back in a little over 2 years. Right, I understand, I said calmly. My flat tone seemed to stun the young woman on the other side of the cafe table. You understand? Then you'd better understand your place. Not everyone gets to marry their way to the top, Madison Sterling said, trying her best to sound intimidating. No problem. Was there anything else, Ms. Sterling? I replied politely. Her brother's sister seemed at a loss for words. And no. Great. In that case, since you insisted on this meeting, the check's on you. I calmly wiped my mouth with a napkin, stood up, and walked out, leaving her with a table full of dirty dishes and a stunned expression. I got back to the office right on time, mentally patting myself on the back for my perfect time management. Knowing Sophia's secret didn't change a thing. It was a contract marriage. I had no right to meddle in her private life. When the time came, I'd leave Prescott Enterprises and pursue my own dreams. But Sophia started acting strange, becoming more and more dependent on me. We commuted together, of course, but now she insisted on having lunch together every day. My precious lunch break became our daily chat session. Sometimes, if she was tired, she'd nap on the office sofa, completely unguarded. Staring at her perfect face, I'd sometimes let my mind wander, but I'd quickly shake it off. I worked harder than ever. My own tasks became second nature, and with Sophia giving me free rein, I began to develop my own management philosophies. When I presented one of my strategic plans to her, she took it to her father, who gave his approval to implement it company-wide. A year and a half later, with my help, Sophia was promoted to vice president. By her father's personal appointment, I took over her old position as assistant director. Having friends in high places worked wonders. I wasn't jealous of Sophia. In fact, I was grateful for the opportunities she gave me. But management wasn't my end goal. While excelling at my job, I continued my research in the AI field. Sophia grew more affectionate, never resisting my public displays of affection, which gave me the false impression that she might actually like me. But I'd read enough novels to know this script. She was just enjoying my care and attention while pining for a childhood sweetheart. So at home, I remained rational, keeping a careful distance, even when she frequently asked me to go to movies or shopping with her. We'd even occasionally hit up a food truck for a taste of normal life. I had to admit, I admired her down-to-earth side. The weirdest part? For someone supposedly in love with Leo Sterling, she couldn't have cared less about his sister, Madison. In all our time together, she never once made an effort to contact her. The girl was a block of wood. It made me want to give her dating lessons. My wife doesn't drink. Allow me to have this one for her. As was custom, I stepped in to take the drink for Sophia. She always brought me to these business dinners, probably to maintain a clean image for Leo. My tolerance was high, but this client was a seasoned drinker who kept pouring me glass after glass of whiskey. By the end of the meal, I was stumbling. Sophia supported me, half my body leaning on her slender frame. Normally, I would have kept my distance, but this time I just couldn't. She didn't resist at all, helping me into the car and making me a hangover remedy when we got home. Through a fuzzy haze, I watched her bustle around, patiently feeding me the soup. Then she brought a warm towel from the bathroom to wipe my face. My emotions were a tangled mess. Sophia, why are you taking such good care of me? I mumbled. She shot me a pretty glare and muttered something, but her voice was too soft for me to hear. The next morning, I woke up in an unfamiliar room. It took me a moment to realize I was in Sophia's bedroom. Her clothes from the night before were draped over a chair. I sat in silence for a long time before getting up. In the kitchen, the stunningly beautiful woman was humming happily, seeming to relish the domestic scene. When she saw me, a faint blush colored her cheeks, but she just cheerfully told me to go get washed up. Sitting at the dining table, I mulled it over before finally asking, how'd I end up sleeping in your room last night? Oh, that. Sophia's face turned bright red, and she stammered for a bit before answering. Last night, you were too heavy, so I just let you sleep in my room. It was easier. Then why did you sleep next to me? I didn't ask. That would be crossing a line. Throughout breakfast, Sophia kept looking like she wanted to say something, stealing glances at my face, but she never did. After a long day at work, Sophia was behind the wheel. Let's go see a movie. Huh? Okay. It was strange. We usually saved movies for the weekend. But I habitually agreed, letting her drive us to a restaurant first. She ordered a romantic dinner for two and insisted I feed her. She ate the food I offered with a wide smile, occasionally feeding me a bite of something I liked. Later, in the dark theater, as the movie's protagonist finally shared a sweet kiss after a series of trials, Sophia took my hand. I turned and met her gaze, which was blazing with an intensity that made my heart hammer in my chest. She leaned toward me, her fragrant breath washing over my face. Shamefully, I didn't pull away. I let her soft lips press against mine. Damn it, she even used tongue. A deep sense of failure washed over me. I was lost. My career, my dreams. In that moment, they seemed unimportant. Damn you, Sophia Prescott, for messing with my focus. After a long, 3-minute kiss, Sophia's body was nestled against mine. Just as my inner defenses were crumbling, a call from her best friend, Chloe, snapped me back to reality. It was 10:30 p.m., and Chloe wanted Sophia to come pick her up from a bar. What kind of decent woman goes to a bar alone late at night? For the first time, I felt a flicker of dislike for Chloe. I'm so sorry, Sophia whispered apologetically, and the tender feeling in my chest instantly vanished. She was apologizing because she was about to ditch me to go get her friend. That was my first thought. So Sophia wasn't so perfect after all. It's making you run around with me this late at night. Fine. The word I was about to say got stuck in my throat. I already had my phone in my hand, ready to open the Uber app. Why was she asking me to come with her? And why was she apologizing for that? Wait, I said, piecing it together. Did you say the bar is hers? I'd expected to pick up a drunk Chloe, but she bounced out to the car herself, perfectly sober. On the way home, Sophia explained that the bar was owned by Chloe's family. She'd just been there handling some business. An odd sense of relief washed over me. I was glad Sophia wasn't that kind of girl. But that night, Sophia snuck into my room wearing a revealing nightgown and slid right into my bed. I've been drifting off to sleep, but that woke me up instantly. I turned to confront her, but her soft lips found mine again. The intoxicating scent, the suffocating temptation. Shamefully, I didn't refuse a second time. I was lost in her kiss for a long time. But just as I was about to make a move, Sophia quickly pulled back and lay flat on her back. Time to sleep. She closed her eyes, pretending to be asleep, but her long eyelashes were fluttering and her flushed cheeks were impossibly alluring. My breathing grew heavy as I stared at her, unsure of what to do. Then, an image of her childhood sweetheart, her white moonlight, flashed in my mind. It was like a bucket of ice water. I turned over, my back to her. She had someone else and was still coming on to me. A player, after all. The next morning, Sophia's gaze was full of disappointment. She kept glancing down toward my lap, looking like she wanted to say something but never did. That evening, she handed me a business card for a men's health clinic. I looked at her, speechless, and with a trembling hand, I tossed the card in the trash. Her lips moved, but no words came out. From that day on, she started researching herbal remedies, handing me a bowl of dark, bitter tea every few days. She said it was to boost circulation. I tried it once. That night, my body felt like it was on fire. I had to spend half the night working out in the home gym just to cool down. Sophia, what was in that tea? I demanded the next morning. She just blinked her wide, innocent eyes and mumbled something unintelligible. I refused to drink her concoctions after that. But a few days later, the same fiery heat surged through me again. Frustrated and helpless, I stormed out of my room. Sophia, did you put that stuff in the food? My accusation died on my lips. She was sprawled on her bed in a very flattering, very sheer outfit, scrolling through her phone. Her long legs, clad in black stockings, sparked an unwelcome urge in me. When she turned and saw the state I was in, a look of pleasant surprise crossed her face. What did you give me? My body felt like it was no longer under my control. The sight of her, the scent of her perfume, it was all pulling me closer. Something to make us happy, she said, her eyes hazy as she wrapped her arms around my neck, rising on her toes to kiss me. That night, I lost control. The result was Sophia being laid up in her room for 3 days. Why? I'd taken time off work to take care of her, but I couldn't let it go until I understood. Because we're husband and wife, she said, half lying in bed while I fed her. When I reminded her it was just a contract that she had proposed, she started acting coy and playful. I was speechless. Because I'm falling for you. I've been so obvious, and you're still a block of wood. I was starting to think you. You know, couldn't perform. She likes me? What about her childhood sweetheart? The plots of a dozen novels flashed through my head. If this played out like I expected, I'd fall in her tender trap, only to be crushed when Leo returned, leaving me to slink away in defeat. I remembered how her father had looked at me when we first met, with total indifference, like I was a piece of furniture. With my thoughts clarified, I didn't say anything more. I had, after all, taken her first time. Living a happy life with her for a while, before making a clean break, didn't seem like a bad deal. Life went on. Sophia became incredibly clingy. She used her authority to have my desk moved into her office. We ate every meal together, and at night, she naturally made her way into my room. I let go of my reservations and enjoyed a blissful period with her. But as the days passed, my rational mind kept reminding me. Her one that got away was coming home soon. The last few days, Sophia had been uncharacteristically distant, secretly preparing for something. She bought a lot of new clothes, trying them on alone in her room. After dinner, she'd practice elaborate makeup routines. She usually kept it simple. I accidentally saw her Amazon shopping cart, full of men's clothing, an expensive watch, and, most damningly, a pair of wedding rings. Seeing the price tag on the rings, a sour feeling twisted in my gut. She was going to give that man rings. I knew this was all fake, but it still stung. After all this time together, she'd never thought of giving me anything like that. The guy wasn't even back yet, and she had everything ready for him. Lost in the joy of her impending reunion, Sophia didn't notice the change in me. I started preparing my exit strategy. I rented an apartment across town, ready to move out the moment he arrived. While her attention was elsewhere, I quietly moved my important documents and personal belongings. The moment she said the word, I'd be gone. After all, I owe my current success to her. I was now a senior director at the company, responsible for major operational decisions. My AI research was progressing, and I was close to filing for a patent that would set me up for life. Unlike the pathetic protagonists in those novels, I wasn't going to wallow. I just focused on doing my job, I was confident, mature. Sophia had treated me well these 3 years. I wouldn't indulge in foolish hopes. All I felt was gratitude. Finally, the day arrived. The day he was supposed to come back. Sophia disappeared as soon as she got to the office. Probably went to the airport to meet him, I thought, suppressing a pang of discomfort. I wrote out my resignation letter and tucked it in my desk drawer. I spent the day meticulously organizing my work to ensure a smooth handover. The projects I had spearheaded over the last year had brought in profits many times greater than my contractual payout. I had held up my end of the bargain. Late in the afternoon, my phone rang. It was Sophia. "Ryan, I'm so sorry. Something came up, and I can't have lunch with you. But come home early tonight. There's something I want to tell you." I gave a simple reply, agreed, and hung up. It was time to go. I pushed down the turmoil in my heart, finished organizing my files, and dropped my resignation letter off with HR on my way out. The HR director was hesitant, but I assured her Sophia would sign off on it later, and she reluctantly agreed to start the process. With that done, I gathered my personal items and left the office. On the way home, I couldn't shake a feeling of sadness. I pushed open the front door to find Sophia dressed in a formal gown I'd never seen before. Her dark hair was swept up in an elegant style, and her fair skin glowed under the lights. The gown revealed a pair of perfectly straight legs ending in delicate high heels. She looked up, her face breaking into a joyful smile as she walked toward me, holding a bouquet of roses. But my eyes were drawn to the file folder on the table next to a large cake. The divorce papers, I thought. The idea of her running into another man's arms made me lose my composure for once. A sad expression crossed my face. "Ryan, there's something I want to tell you," Sophia said, her face radiant with happiness. I spoke at the same time, my voice flat. "Sophia, I have something to tell you too." "I'll go first," she insisted, uncharacteristically fighting for the floor. "Let's say it together," I replied coolly. She agreed, practically vibrating with excitement. We spoke at the same time. "I've been in love with you for a long time. Let's get a divorce." A stunned silence fell between us. My face was a mask of confusion. Hers was a picture of utter disbelief. "What did you say? What did you say? You want to divorce me? You're in love with me." We spoke at the same time again, each of us floored by the other's words. Then, Sophia's expression hardened into fury. She looked at me as if I were the worst kind of cheat. After a long, heavy silence, she finally spoke, her voice hesitant. "I think there might be a misunderstanding. Weren't you supposed to meet Leo Sterling today?" Sophia's face was a canvas of confusion. Just then, a few heads popped out from one of the other rooms. It was her best friends. Okay, my brain supplied. Maybe, just maybe, I've made a huge mistake. Seeing them all here, the pieces started to click into place. If she was really meeting him at the airport, her friends wouldn't all be hiding in her house. My version of events was starting to look very wrong. Leo Sterling? Why would I go see him? Who told you that? Sophia was getting angry now. She had spent weeks planning this perfect confession, and I had just blown it to smithereens. "Leo's sister told me a long time ago. She said he was your one true love, that our marriage was just a sham to buy time until he came back." My own heart started to pound. I stared at her, desperate for her answer. "Why are you so dumb?" she burst out. "Why wouldn't you just ask me? You believe an outsider over me." Her expression made me feel a sudden, sickening wave of guilt. I had messed up, badly, but you've been so distant lately, always going out. Today is your birthday, you big dummy. I was planning a surprise party for you. I bought you all these gifts. I was going to... Sophia threw the roses onto the table and plopped down on the sofa, turning her back to me in a huff. Chloe, having heard enough, ran over and pressed a small box into my hand. "You absolute block of wood." Sophia told us everything. She said you two never had a proper proposal, and since you never take the initiative, she was going to swallow her pride and propose to you tonight. Look what you've done. Now go apologize, you idiot. After a moment of shock, the last few years flashed through my mind. Happiness, so sudden and overwhelming, left me frozen. Sophia, not hearing an apology, stood up angrily to leave. I snapped out of it, took the box from Chloe, and rushed to grab her hand. I opened the box. Inside was the exquisite ring I'd seen in her shopping cart. Dropping to one knee, I held it out to her. "I'm so sorry, Sophia. I misunderstood everything. I've loved you for a long time, too. Please, give me a chance to spend the rest of my life making it up to you. Will you marry me?" Her expression softened. She turned her head away with a little sniffle, but she didn't pull her hand away. "Is she not going to forgive me?" "Well, put the ring on her, moron," Chloe hissed. That's when I noticed Sophia's hand, subtly extended toward me. A massive wave of joy washed over me. I quickly took the ring and slid it onto her finger. Blushing, she reached into the box, took out the other ring, and gently slid it onto mine. As her friends cheered and catcalled, we stood up and pulled each other into a sweet embrace. She closed her eyes and rose onto her toes. I leaned down and found her lips, gently tasting her sweetness. "Happy birthday," she whispered. Later, after we'd cut the cake and her friends had finally left, Sophia was looking at me with a mischievous glint in her eye. I instinctively took 2 steps back. It was a look I'd never seen before, and it made me nervous. "Ryan, care to explain why you resigned from the company?" I was going to start my own business," I stammered, finally landing on a plausible excuse. "Request denied. You're going to march right back into that office and keep working." I hesitated, then explained my real plan, to leave Prescott Enterprises and launch my own startup. After listening, Sophia's anger melted away. She looked down, suddenly shy. "Honey, I would normally support you, but there's something you should know. Your plan might have to be put on hold for a little while." She looked up at me. "I'm pregnant, so I'm going to need you to manage the company for a while. I need to be home on bed rest." I did a quick mental calculation. Sophia would be out of the office for at least 2 years. My startup would have to wait. But compared to the incredible news she'd just given me, my own plans felt insignificant. My eyes shot to her flat stomach in amazement. I rushed forward and gently took her arm. "Sophia, honey, you have to be careful. Why didn't you say so earlier? You're still in high heels. Let me get you some slippers." "Oh, relax," she laughed. "I just found out. It's fine." A month later, we had a grand, official wedding. Her parents were beaming. I remembered the first time I met her father, his cold, dismissive expression, and I couldn't help but ask her about it. "You stole his precious daughter. Did you expect him to roll out the red carpet?" Sophia gave me a playful, sidelong glance, then nodded toward a man across the room. "See, that's the famous Leo Sterling, your imaginary rival." I looked over. A plain-looking man was buzzing around Chloe Vance like a fly. Chloe looked deeply uncomfortable and was trying to escape, but he wouldn't let up. Finally, she had to call security to have him removed. "That's the guy," I said, feeling deflated. And here I thought he was some kind of Adonis, a worthy rival for the beautiful Sophia Prescott. "Yep," she said, snuggling closer. "My eyes aren't broken. Why would I ever fall for a guy like that? Not when I have my handsome, brilliant husband." In front of a crowd of the city's elite, I held Sophia in my arms, my beautiful bride. Our happiness was just beginning. "I'll spend the rest of my life loving you properly. Thank you for choosing me, Sophia Prescott." Sophia's story to save face, I did something crazy. I paid Ryan Carter to be my fake suitor. At least, that's how I saw it. But then my friends pressured me to make it official. So I came up with an even crazier idea. A contract marriage to lock him down. I thought I could win him over easily, but I had no idea he was made of actual stone. So I had to swallow my pride and actively pursue him. Who would have thought that a woman like me would have to chase a man who seemed completely immune to my charms? He just kept getting better and better. He was brilliant at his job, and he helped me solve my own work problems every single day. My parents adored him and started promoting him up the ladder. I thought it would take him time to adjust, but he took to it like a fish to water, landing one major project after another. I fell for him even harder. How could anyone not fall for a man that talented, that handsome, with an 8-pack to boot? So I made my move. He was still a little hesitant, and I started to worry there was something wrong with him. But that one night, well, he certainly put those fears to rest. I was sore for days, but my heart was soaring. He was perfectly fine. After that, we were so happy. Then came his birthday. I spent weeks planning the perfect surprise, enlisting all my friends to help. On the big day, I put on my best dress, did my makeup perfectly, and prepared to finally tell him how I felt. And then, ugh, that big dummy. I'm going to hold that over his head for the rest of his life. Anytime he makes me mad, I'll bring it up. We'll see if he ever dares to argue with me again. But really, I fall more in love with my handsome husband every day. Thank you for taking such good care of me, for making me love you more with each passing moment. For the rest of our lives, I'll try my best to love you even more, my dearest husband, Ryan.